と小さいな、奈良県。
あ、そしてその茶色いやつはなんだあっち。今度それ緑のやつ。若草山にある。
遣唐使船だよ。で、中国まで。
Hi everyone, Chako-chan desu. So today we are visiting Heijo-kyo, which is right behind me. So this is the first established, basically imperial capital of Nara. This is where like the trade and culture really flourished. And it was based on the Chang'an model, which is the palace in the Tang in China from the Tang dynasty. And it was completed in 710, which actually marks the beginning of the Nara period, which was from 710 to 794. So there's a famous Buddhist monk, Ganjin, who came from China. He tried to come here 7 times, but only on the 7th time was he able to succeed, and he brought Buddhism to Japan. And so that is why Nara is kind of really known as like the spread of Buddhism, and it spread out throughout the rest of Japan. And so there's a lot of very famous Buddhist temples here, such as Todaiji, which is a ways up the road that way. Anyway, so we're here to visit the palace today. It just celebrated its 1300th anniversary in 2010. So we were actually here for when they opened it. They completely restored it. It didn't look like it does now. Most of it had been burned down, and they've dug up a lot of things. And we have this boat here behind us, Kentoushi no Fune, which is, I think it's a reproduction, it's a reproduction of the boat that they would have used to travel to China, which is how they the cultures were able to exchange. And basically, this is all based on Chinese culture. So you're gonna see a lot of Chinese looking architecture and style here. So we're gonna go check this out for you, and hope you enjoy and come along with us. Let's go. Originally known as Yamato, Nara was Japan's first capital and the seat of the emperor. Rich in ideas and technology from Europe, China, and Korea via the Silk Road, Nara is a living museum with 1,300 years of art and architecture to offer. To understand the significance of the first imperial palace of Japan, however, we have to go back in time a ways. Prehistoric Japan was a scattered collection of small villages and hunter-gatherer society, known as the Jomon period, from 14,000 BC to 300 BC. Some of the world's earliest pottery with distinctive cord pattern markings dates to this period, and is evidence that the Jomon people were not exclusively nomadic, but settled in communities. The traditional legend is that the first emperor of Japan, Jimmu, was descended from Amaterasu, the sun goddess. Coming from Kyushu, he captured Yamato and founded his empire there around 660 BC. He was believed to have ascended to the throne on the site of the current Kashihara Jingu and buried close by. It was so fancy, I bet. Ooh, look at these. They have these like lily pad ponds. So we're at the like a guide center for Heijo-kyo. Going down the line a bit in history, 1 year after Empress Genmei's succession to the throne in 707 AD, a rescript was issued deciding on the move from Fujiwara-kyo near Asuka towards the northern edge of the Nara Basin. In 710, the new capital was officially established, but the completion of the palace had to wait further. The new capital city's name was written as Heijo. The city and the palace grounds was based largely on Chang'an, or present-day Xi'an, the capital of China during the Tang dynasty, which was contemporary to the time when Nara was capital. Chang'an was in turn, like many ancient East Asian cities, based on a complex system of beliefs and laws of geomancy. This dictated the grid system of streets as well as the necessity for spiritually protective shrines or temples to be placed at particular cardinal directions around the city. The city area measured 6 kilometers from east to west and 5 kilometers from north to south. In accordance with this system, the palace was placed at the northern end on an extended line from Suzaku Street, the main thoroughfare running north and south straight through the center of the city. The street ended at the Suzaku Mon, and the rest of the palace buildings were then placed beyond to the north of this gate. In the city, merchants and traders from China, Korea, and India introduced various foreign cultures to Heijo-kyo through the Silk Road. As a result, Heijyo-kyo flourished as Japan's first international and political capital. With a peak population of approximately 100,000, the overall form of the city was an irregular rectangle, and the area of the city is more than 25 square kilometers. During this period, Emperor Shomu directed the building of Todaiji and the world's largest bronze Buddha statue, as a way to bring hope after wars, a smallpox outbreak, and the failure of crops. Unfortunately, after the capital was moved to Kyoto, then known as Heian-kyo, Heijo-kyo was abandoned and very little remained beyond the foundations. The four guardians shown here were quintessential to Chinese culture, and therefore were featured heavily in Japan as well. Each guardian appears among the Chinese constellations along the ecliptic, and are viewed as the guardians of the four cardinal directions: Suzaku, the red phoenix of the south; Seiryu, the blue dragon of the east; Genbu, the black tortoise of the north; and Byakko, the white tiger of the west. Depictions of these mythical beasts were often featured in the tombs of ancient kings and emperors, the oldest one discovered so far dating back to 5300 BC in China.
Done on request a nice vacation. It's so early. I need to sleep. I hope I pass the promotion test. Hopefully I pass it all. All the time I get in there, I'm the best. I wish my house was a bit bigger. My question.
What?
So this is the main area. It looks bigger.
そうだね。この宮殿の中でね、働いてる人たちが寝るところとか休むところとかも絶対あるよ。
There's a museum with several hands-on exhibits depicting what life was like back in the Nara period. It's a great way for those of any age to discover life in the past.
Oh, here's their meal then. さすがに昔は玄米だったよね。
すごい質素なご飯だね。
美味しそう。
ソースとかとんかつソースとかないじゃん。
多分味噌しか。
あ、そうだね。ほら、鴨とセリの汁。
ね、普通にうまそう。昔の食事、普通に美味しそうだ。
わあ、これもすごいね。
いいね。Okay, I want to try recreating these meals. これもいいな。これなんだろうな。あ、干し柿？干し柿と。
一緒につけた漬物。
あ、これもうまそう。
なんかここで。
はい、買わないで。
はい、触れないで。
あれをよく見て、昔のシンプルですよ。大体ね、上からこうかぶって、キュッとこう帯で締めるっていう。今の時代みたいに細かく。
楽。その方が楽。で別に汚くなっても同じようなやつ着替えて気にしなかったんだ。でブースター。
そうそう、向こう見て。そういう感じ、そういう感じ。
あ、いいね。完璧。Okay, ready? Oh, this this one looks really cool. Let's try this one.
ママ、パーティー。
Ooh, it's kind of hard to see it.
あれは上手にできてるよ。
ママ。
Yes.
ね、はい。金属、金属。はい、はい。
So this is a Tang Dynasty ship.
そう出ちゃうよ。中に入れるの？
入れないよ。触らないでね。で基本こういうの触らないよ。ね、みんなが触ったらもうそのうち壊れちゃうよ。そしたら他の人見れなくなる。
いけるみたいな匂い。
ここで寝るんですか？
This is the captain's cabin. Oh, wow.
いやこういう船で海渡るんだよ。それは肝心さ何回も失敗するよね。波が強かったり。
Ooh, it's misty.
そのタイミングで誰かファイティングしよう。
So behind me is the Suzaku Mon, which is the south gate. And the reason why this gate is significant is because in ancient Chinese custom, the emperor always needs to face south. So this gate is actually the back side of the palace. So the part where the emperor would be seated is way inside, but he's facing out this way. So that's why this is significant. Nowadays, the Suzaku Mon is the main entrance to the palace. The name Suzaku comes from the Chinese name for the legendary bird, which acted as guardian of the southern direction. The palace was surrounded by great earthen walls and had 12 gates, with the Suzaku Mon as the largest gate and the main entrance. Built on a platform, the gate was probably a two-storied structure, conspicuously larger than the other gates of the palace. The open space to the front was used for ceremonies, such as New Year celebrations. Nowadays, one can enjoy observing the Suzaku Mon either from the street via car or walking, or on the Kintetsu line, which goes from Osaka to Nara and drives right through the middle of Heijo-kyo between Suzaku Mon. It's an iconic view, which is often pictured in dramas and publications from Nara.
People.
あ、左から来るね。なんか緑色の電車が。
Oh, I bet they're like reconstructing another part of it there.
うん。
今度早いわ。
で左でんでこう。
Over the ensuing centuries, the ravages of time and the elements slowly destroyed the buildings, so that by the beginning of the Kamakura period in the late 12th century, there was practically nothing left above ground. However, those sections that lay underground were well preserved and rediscovered by modern archaeologists. Several buildings and the south gate have been restored, and walking around the palace grounds gives you some idea of the scale and grandeur of the ancient capital.
ここにもいっぱいいつあるの？どこに？
So directly behind me is what's known as the former Great Audience Hall, Daiichiji Daikoku Den. So this is where they would have like a morning assembly, basically, where all of the delegates and court officials would line up here, and the Emperor's Palace is behind that gate. And so they would just have like their morning remarks and I guess probably they would be assigned their tasks for the day and that sort of thing, talking about official court business. So this whole court this whole wide open space would have been filled with people. So yeah, it's just interesting to imagine what the ancient times were like here. So originally this whole place was kind of unknown, or it was like basically all burned to the ground or toppled to the ground. So only the foundations remain, which you can see some of behind me and all around basically this courtyard. This whole area, even where it's been developed out in modern times, it would have been part of this imperial court. So there was a gardener in the 1800s that he was a farmer in this area, and he kind of knew of the existence, and so he petitioned the government to restore all of this. And so finally here in 2021 they've rebuilt a lot of it, and it looks like they're continuing to build things. So I think the plan is they want to eventually restore as much of the original structures as they possibly can. But anyway, so just so you can get a feel for it, and you can see the old foundations here, which is very cool.
Wow, so this is how they build it. They built a huge structure over so that they can put the roof on. In ancient times, I'm sure it wasn't like that, but now we have the advantage of modern technology on our side.
The Daikoku Den, or Great Hall of State or Audience Hall, was the most important state building in the palace. It was positioned at the northern end of the compound, facing towards the south, and was the largest building, measuring 44 meters in width and 20 meters in depth with a height of 27 meters. The hall was thought to have been a two-story Chinese-style structure with a hipped and gabled roof and an open front facade having no doors. No data directly indicating the audience hall's true appearance has survived. For the reconstruction, locations of the pillars were inferred through reference to the building's remains at Kunikyo, to where it had been relocated. For the upper part of the building, research was conducted on the main hall of Horyuji, the eastern pagoda of Yakushiji, and other buildings that survived from the Nara period. The depiction of the Heian Palace Audience Hall depicted in the Nenchu Gyoji Emaki, which is an illustrated scroll of annual events and ceremonies, was also consulted. Reconstruction was started in 2001 and completed in 2010. Japanese cypress wood was used, and the building's pillars and beams were painted in vermilion, while the walls were painted in white, and the roof was constructed with ceramic tiles.
Oh, look at that cool.
すごい近くで見たらあんなでっかいんだね。
でかい。シビ。
ちょっと待って、この前あれじゃん、蕎麦屋さんの名前これじゃん、シビ。
お、ここから来たの？
うん。
まあそう見たら、そばみたいじゃん。
These are called shibi, and they are ornamental tiles attached to both ends of the ridge forming the highest part of the roof. Although no shibi were ever recovered from the excavation of Heijo-kyo, such adornments were known to have decorated most prestigious buildings. Therefore, they would have most certainly adorned the imperial palace.
Oh, here we go. Genbu is up there. See? Genbu. Genbu. Suzaku.
だからあれだ、玄武朱雀プラス江戸がある。絵も書いてるからね。
そうそうそう。もう書いてる。Oh, and then the zodiac is here.
The upper part of the interior of the hall was painted with symbols of the Chinese zodiac, such as tiger, horse, and ox, alongside the walls, and a floral pattern on the ceiling.
セリュってドラゴンじゃないな。犬みたいな。 Oh. In the middle of the audience hall was the emperor's throne, called Takamikura. This was an important item that symbolized the imperial office, and at state events such as the enthronement and New Year's Day ceremonies, the emperor proceeded to the audience hall and took his seat on the throne. Nobles lined up in the inner court south of the hall and paid their respects. With no records of the construction or design of the Takamikura of the Nara period, the details are unknown. Ooh, that probably would have been jade, right? The beads or whatever originally. The reconstructed model of the Takamikura was made after experts consulted various literature and historical materials, and based on the throne in the Kyoto Imperial Palace, which dates to the Taisho era. The paintings were executed by the renowned painter Uemura Atsushi, based on designs from the Nara period. Oh, usagi. Oh, これ。すごいよ。Ooh. Yeah. This is what we're in now. We'll be going into Tiger. And this is what's on top of the building. Oh, this is how it was constructed. Wow. We saw this in the museum. Oh, and they made the kawara. Ooh, that's what's up in it. Can you see it? Oh.
One of the amazing things about this reconstruction is the attention to detail and effort put in to make it as historically accurate as possible, despite having very little record available to reference.
Wow, this is how they worked to rebuild it. Oh. Sasuga, Japan's craftsmanship is very komakai and detailed. Wow. So this is how they were able to restore the whole thing. Wow, honkaku-teki. Whoa. Could you imagine being part of the crew that worked on this place? What an honor.
Inside the garden.
Yeah, so this was, oh, the train is there. Can you see the train?
Indigo.
Indigo.
これさ、昔スピーカーないからさ、people have to speak loud.
Yeah. I wonder how they projected their voices. But they would have ceremonies out in this courtyard here and like all kinds of processions and fancy parades and stuff. But right now it looks like they're working to rebuild some more of the structures here. ねえ、10年前こんなんなかったよな。Oh, there's a bird flying. See it? Is it Suzaku? Suzaku? Oh, カラス。ただのカラスだった。失礼。あ、もう一個。
The original role of the palace was to manifest the centralized government model adopted by Japan from China in the 7th century, the Daikoku Den. The palace was designed to provide an appropriate setting for the emperor's residence, the conduct of great affairs of state, and the accompanying ceremonies. After the capital was moved to Heian, the palace structures were either moved there or suffered several fires and other disasters and disappeared over time. The site was built over for agriculture so that almost no trace of it remained. However, the location was still known. Excavations started in the 1970s, and large-scale reconstruction based on contemporary literary sources started in the 2000s. The excavated remains of the palace and the surrounding area was established as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1998, along with a number of other buildings in the area, and known as the Historic Monuments of Ancient Nara. So that was our visit to Heijo-kyo. What did you guys think? Wasn't this really cool to see all this ancient history finally recreated for us to enjoy? I hope that you'll get a chance to visit here in the future, and please remember to like, subscribe to my channel for more adventures like this, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Your support means the world to us. So until next time, bye!